And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have two of my good brothers and sisters. Ha 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 ha. We have the master of the Wanderer's Library, good brother Sig. Sorry, something
Hello,
came
everybody.
up that
Hope
made me
you're all
laugh
having
a
a
bit.
wonderful evening. No problem.
It's
Nefanor. Run, it's a Mildra!
At least they're not saying run, it's Black
Red
Zilla.
Rose the Bunny. Hello, how are you doing this evening?
Hello. And of course, our resident dragon gremlin, who may or may not be running away from their cats. Good sister Tabby.
I'm not seeing a kitty right now, so I think we're good. I think we're good today. I see one glaring at me though, so I might be attacked later.
Mm-hmm. But with that, obviously, since we finished up with Magic Punk last week, which that's an absolute banger of a game, I highly recommend anyone take a look at it. The link for it is in the description of each VOD. So, those of you asking, where can I find the game? You have no excuse now. But it is that time again for our requisite in-between season one-shot, or in this case, two-shot. Now, a while back, we had looked about as far as what sort of genre to focus on for future episodes, and Sig has suggested doing something martial arts themed. As tempting as it would be to go into Lone Wolf Fists, technically I already did that multiple times over, so that was off the list. But some other projects were certainly on the list, and one of them will be part of the two-shot we're going to be doing tonight. So this first one, Dragon Fighters Advanced Musha Shugyo. It may be called Advanced, but it's kind of the second edition of Musha Shugyo, which is a game by old friend Luca De Marini, and is very much trying to emulate fighting games in general, and specifically 2D fighters. Especially stuff like Street Fighter and King of Fighters. And Final Fight as well.
I made the distinction of it kind of reminds me of Double Dragon in some ways.
Although, looking at the cover art here, our guy here is giving me far more of a vibe of Ryo Sakazaki. From
Art of Fighting, also a very good game.
A good game, but I am hesitant to boot that up again because of lingering
because
trauma.
of SNK bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, SNK bullshit.
Like Art of Fighting 1 and 3 I can tolerate. 2 is the one that gives me nightmares. I want to make clear, they're not bad games. They are very good games, but they are evil games.
On that, I can certainly agree.
So, with this, obviously, Musha Shugyo translates to Warrior's Pilgrimage, and it is exactly what it sounds like. That is something that was fairly common in samurai culture during certain eras. Now, I do apologize for the black pages here. I don't know why that's a thing. It just is. And of course, this was backed on Kickstarter, and in the interest of disclosure, I did back it. If you know where to look, you will find my name on this list. But so let me switch this over to. So, good news, we do have bookmarks. We don't necessarily have an index, but this is only 77 pages, so I'm not going to make too much of a stink about that. And hey, Dragon's like evil in what way? Art of Fighting is infamously hard, even when compared to fighters of its era. And Art of Fighting 2, even more so. Art of Fighting 2 is like SNK Boss Syndrome is every level. But anyways, something else to note that I really like is that the table of contents has hyperlinks.
Yes.
Which is always a nice touch. So, as mentioned, even though this is called Advanced Musha Shugyo, it is, for all intents and purposes, a second edition, and it can be played standalone.
Very cool.
So let me go to fit width. Obviously, the first part of it is just going into what the Warrior Pilgrimage is. as well as the concept of Dragon Chi. And as far as this kind of game can be played solo or with others, depending on mode. Um, it can become a full-fledged tabletop game if one wants. Um, based on how it's described here, I have a feeling some folk are going to make the joke, or not the joke, but the remark of, "Oh, there aren't enough role-playing mechanics. It's just a combat sim." And I'm like, yeah. Plus,
Emulating fighting games.
yeah. Plus, whenever I hear the term, "Oh, it doesn't have enough role-playing mechanics," I'm always like, stop using that term because you don't even know what you're talking about. Because you don't even know what that specifically means. You're just using a word that you heard somewhere. But the inspiration mentioned is things like King of Fighters, Street Fighter, Virtua Fighter, or movies like Bloodsport or Ip Man. Our primary inspiration is the web series Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. Which, that's a fair play. That is a good series.
I think Eric Jacobus did some stunt work for that.
Yeah.
That man is amazing, and his beard is glorious.
I think the only guy who I follow more when it comes to stunt work is the annual tradition of Mark Musashi kicking Keith Justice's ass.
Oh, jeez.
It's like every year at Morphicon, Mark Musashi would be there. And every year there would be some sort of fight with him and Keith Justice, and Keith keeps losing. But anyway, many role-playing games are designed for a party of characters, though there's many stories with the motif of the lone warrior. They bring up Dragon Ball, but also Conan the Barbarian or Elric of Melniboné. Even Fist of the North Star has a similarly structured plot.
Okuto no Ken. I don't care what anyone says, that game was good.
Yep. As a bit of an aside, I always find it amusing that somehow that was translated as Fist of the North Star when the wording Hokuto no Ken doesn't refer to the North Star, it refers to Ursa Major. You know, the constellation that Ken has on its chest.
Yep.
But obviously going into the required material, either a character bookmark sheet or a character sheet. At least 2 6-sided dice, a deck of cards to keep track of action points and special points. They recommend the Musha Shugyo deck or the new Dragon cards, but a regular deck of cards will work just as well. So yes, we are dealing with card elements once again.
Awesome. Can never have enough of those.
So you can play in a more arcade mode where you're just doing the combat, or a more story game mode. Those will be detailed later on. Obviously, needing a protagonist is going to be key.
Yeah.
But this is one concept I do like that they put in. The incipit. Every pre-gen character already has an incipit, a summary of their identity, ready to be used as an initial starting point. The incipit should be neither short nor too long. Use the back of the character sheet as a reference. It's kind of like the concept entry that you see in World of Darkness games, but instead of a few words, it's I'd say meant to be a paragraph in size. But let me zoom out a bit. so obviously the primary parts of character is going to be the same, and there is an online character creator if someone wants to pursue that. Uh, the basic character sheets are the size of postcards. They are called bookmarks because the sheet marks the last page of the diary you're writing when you're playing solo. They also have spots for 5 special techniques and 2 supers, which we'll get to in a bit. It also has your attributes as well as how you gain special points. The different methods for getting special points, I'd liken it to the groove system in Capcom vs. SNK 2.
Ah, the good one.
Yeah. Which, incidentally, the guy who made that groove system would later on create the style system in Devil May Cry 3.
Oh, that's awesome.
But there are 5 attributes. Rapidity, which is your action and reaction speed. It calculates how many APs you have at the beginning of a turn. Your attack, your ability to hit things. And your defense, your ability to absorb getting hit from things. As well as your will, which is your mental strength, which is used for will dice, and your balance, which is used for balance dice. I know some of the wording is a little bit odd with the shortened versions, but remember, this is an Italian game.
Yeah.
They also go into what a check is. Whenever you're... Basically, you're rolling 1d6 and checking the result. If you are allowed to roll 1 or more bonus dice, it'll be specified in the result of if the result of the check is the highest or lowest among those dice. Discard any other die. Regardless, you can only roll up to 4 die at once. But between the 5 stats you have here, the 3 external and 2 internal, you distribute 7 points among your external and 5 points among your internal. You do need to assign at least 1 point to rapidity because, well, otherwise you're not getting any action points.
And you're not moving.
Mm-hmm.
So you're essentially playing like Hugo in Third Strike.
Mm-hmm. Now, special points represent the super bar. And this will allow you to perform super techniques, chain attacks, and save action points. And the different symbols is going to determine how you get SP. So we have Frenzied. You get 1 SP for each successful attack without being hit, plus 1 for any extra hit symbols. As well as every 6 combo points. Well, I'll get to that in a bit. Furious. You get 1 SP for every 3 damage you inflict in the single attack, rounded down after calculating damage absorption. Spiritual, where you get 1 SP for each PA sacrificed for this purpose. This must be made during the first or last phase of the turn and not during attack or defense. And I think PA is supposed to be action points, so I think that was just a typo. Or, again, a translation gaffe. Also, hello there, Amov. I see you've recovered from being sent to the water dimension.
Again. And
unyielding, You get 1 SP for every 3 damage suffered in the same attack. And damage absorbed through damage reduction counts towards that. As well as Untouchable. You get 1 SP for every 3 damage you evade through any type of defense, techniques and counterattacks included. Damage absorbed through damage reduction is not counted. It only counts when you avoid being hit. And Stubborn, you get 1 SP for every 3 damage that the opponent manages to avoid when you're attacking. This counts for both damage you would have inflicted when they tend to defend successfully, and for the damage they absorb. So that's 6 different options for building up your super bar. So even just with the base abilities and this, what I guess I could call style, you already have some pretty easy options for establishing a fighting style. Just at the base level. But, Zig, if you don't mind, I'd like to do a bit of character association. With each of the SP styles, I'd like to see who comes to mind as far as fighters or otherwise.
Okay, let me see. I'm making sure I'm on the same spot with you. Frenzied, and we're thinking any, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Frenzied, I'm gonna say probably Balrog from Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 4.
Mm-hmm.
Or 5 even, because he was a beast there.
Yep. Furious.
Furious!
Blanca.
Autonomous SP gain method.
I'm definitely going Blanca.
I'm just rating it, and let's see here. Brutality? No, Maru.
Alright.
Because he could freaking cleave you in half.
Spiritual.
Spiritual. I would say either Rose or Athena.
Mm-mm.
No, take Rose out of there. Mythical Dragon. No, this is definitely more of a Rose now that I look at it.
Yep. Unyielding.
Unyielding. Let me think. I would say any freaking tank. So Raiden, Zangief, or even freaking Abubo from Rage of the Dragons.
Mm-hmm. Untouchable.
Untouchable.
Chip.
I mean, literally, you could. What?
Chip.
Chip damage?
No, Chip Zaneth from Guilty Gear.
Tao Kaka.
Chip I can see. Tao Kaka I could definitely see. Gen from Street Fighter Alpha 3 and Street Fighter 4.
Yep. Stubborn.
Stubborn. Let's see. Dan. Because his stubborn ass won't quit. Even if he started as a joke, he's actually pretty good if you know how to use him.
I would also say, for Stubborn, I would also say Noelle.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
And for Spiritual, as odd as this may sound, Order Soul.
No, I can definitely see that.
I know somebody might go, but Order Soul's not even all that.
One that was more like counterattacky, like Viking.
Keep in mind this is all about
like Like, well, I saw it in like a little bit in each. And I was like, she probably does fit into one of them actually, because she's just basically a counterattack queen.
And I know Emma brought up
Well, she
Heihachi, but
probably fits in untouchable.
this is clearly built more towards 2D fighters, not 3D.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think 3D fighters like Tekken and whatnot would apply here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just going off the top of my head of, whatever I came up with at the time.
Yeah. But keep in mind, stubborn is basically you are building up by missing, or through either missing or damage reduction. It is a accuracy by volume kind of character.
So one that's a bit heavy on the parries, maybe.
Oh. But then we have Dragon Chi. You can choose to use Dragon Chi in all game modes. This is an optional module for the special point system. It's inspired by games like The King of Fighters or Capcom vs. SNK that allow you to use special points in other ways. By using Dragon cards, you can expand your combat experience thanks to Dragon Paths. Your character, depending on their Dragon Chi, will follow one of these paths to gain up to 4 Dragon abilities. Dragon Chi has a double value in the game. In arcade modes, mainly, if not exclusively, considers game mechanics. In all story modes, it's important to understand the descriptive component. So, So when it comes to Dragon Path, it is an optional approach, which each dragon card having 4 circles containing the dragon abilities, which you can activate through special points. During your turn in combat, you can spend 4 SP to activate the first dragon ability. From that moment on, its effect will last for the whole scene. Spending an additional 4 SP will activate the second dragon ability, and it keeps going until the 4th one. They remain active from one round to the next until the end of the entire fight. Based on that, the dragon abilities, I'd say this is more akin to a escalating transformation. So something akin to the transformation modes you'd see in some of the DBZ fighters.
Budokai 3 is still the best.
Now, when it comes to example Chis, we have the Frenzied Chi, which the first of 2 dragon paths that it has is Hurricane Dragon. Level 1, for every 3 combo points you gain 1 additional SP. Level 2, each attack following the first gains a +1 to the test. This resets at the end of the turn. Level 3, each of your attacks following the first inflicts cumulative +1 damage, resetting at the end of the turn. And the final version, each successful attack totals 1 extra combo point. Although it looks like if you're picking Hurricane Dragon, you are also picking the Frenzied Chi, which it looks like in order to get it, you have to take the Frenzied SP method.
Yep.
And of course, the other version is Impetuous Dragon, which is a more defensive approach. And you have it looks like there's 2 paths for each SP gain method. So 2 potential ones for Furious, in this case Furious Dragon or Blazing Dragon. 2 for Spiritual. And yeah, there's that PA thing again, so I think that's just a gaffe in the text.
It's alright.
Um,
I get what they're saying.
Same with the 4, 5, 6, 7 we saw at first. I think that was a oversight.
Eh.
But you could kind of see this particular chi approach as a way to actually I'd say a good parallel would be the escalation die in 13th Age. You know, as the thing goes on, you're unlocking bigger and bigger effects, and it's just stacking. But then we have the matter of creating martial techniques. First going into what they are, and then saying in game terms it doesn't matter if the characters are armed. This game is an approach similar to an arcade video game. In a video game like Soul Calibur, all characters are armed, yet they fight each other without suffering lethal injuries. In other games, the characters are unarmed. In games like King of Fighters, some characters have a weapon and others don't. This almost reads like a neon sign saying, "Don't try and focus too much on realism about whether or not you're armed or not. The system doesn't care." And however, what is more important is the symbol system. So this is divided between special techniques and super techniques. Special techniques cost 3 AP and inflict attack times 2 plus damage and have 2 symbols. Super techniques cost 3 and inflict 4 times attack plus damage and have 3 symbols. You always have to spend 4 SP in order to use a super. And I guess when it comes to the symbols, you could kind of see it as the tags of techniques.
Yeah. So it's the stuff from earlier.
Mm-hmm. You can increase the cost of a technique by 1 AP by equipping it with an extra symbol, or removing a symbol to reduce the cost by 1 AP.
So you essentially have meter levels that you can do them at.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But a technique can never cost less than 2 AP. And remember...
So no matter what you do, there is some buy-in to it.
Yep. So when it comes to the symbols, which are referenced on the sample characters as well, some have a cumulative effect, so they can be done more than once. These symbols were also in Augusta Universalis, and I believe they're just shared within the system that it is building upon, known as Destino Obscuro, which unfortunately has not been translated, but that's what Luca had told me when I interviewed him a long time ago for that. So the symbols we have are Extra Hit, does 1 more damage and grants 1 more combo point. Falls, the opponent, so knockdown. Distance, the attack hits even when they're at a distance. This is not measuring specificity of distance. It's either you're in close range or you're not in close range. If you're not in close range, you can't hit with close range attacks. Unless it's something like this, which has distance. This is your Hadoukens, this is your Sonic Booms, this is your any Shoto fireball that you've seen in the last 30 years.
I can finally achieve my dream of doing a Tetsuzanko cancel into Kamehameha.
Mm. But then we have Mighty. Each time the Mighty symbol appears, that technique is doing 2 extra damage for special techniques and 4 extra damage for super techniques. Then Reflects. This can only be used in defense, and you don't have to pay any extra AP beyond the cost. If the defense is successful, it cancels the damage and the attack received, reflecting both on the attacker, including the effect of symbols activated by the attacker and defender. His turn interrupts, just like in a counterattack. The damage is calculated normally. In the case of a test failure, the defender suffers from the opponent's attack. So this is your cross counter. Or you wanted a counterattack option to do Baiken. Tabby, here you go.
Yay!
But let's see, we have flying. You can use this technique even during a jump. And much like with distance, all that matters is, are you in the air or are you not in the air? You had the character's defense to his attack before calculating total damage. This must be multiplied if you're using it for special techniques or for supers. This is only for calculating damage and not considered in the test to hit. Then you have Launch, which launches the opponent in the air, making them vulnerable to the next attack, and then they fall. Before attacking again, a character who has fallen to the ground must get up, spending 1 AP. So there's your uppercuts. I'm pretty sure you've seen the Ken flowchart, haven't you?
Yes. Which one?
The Shoryuken flowchart.
I was about to say, gonna have to be a bit more specific.
Then we have Smashes, which ignores defense when calculating damage and not for the test.
Yeah, this is like your guard breaks.
Mm-hmm. Push. The opponent moves to distance and falls. The fall does not inflict extra damage. And it's god damn it.
So
hey.
hard knockdown.
Mm-hmm. So dash also hits at distance. In addition, you're moved to contact with the opponent. So this is your stars and stripes. Then Ultra Agility, spend 1 SP to gain +2 on the test. Does not apply to damage absorption. This effect is cumulative, spending up to 3. Ultra Hardness. Pause. Spend 1 SP to inflict +2 damage. This is cumulative, up to 3. And Circumstance Bonus, which provides a bonus of +1 to the test in a situation of choice. No, well, before attacking again, a character who has fallen to the ground can get up, spending 1 AP. A character who has fallen to the ground can neither attack nor counterattack, but only defend. But then when it comes to combat, obviously, that's going to be a big deal.
I'm reminded of a custom Dungeon Fighter online character with this one, particularly the Striker, which is my favorite fighter class to play, at least with the female.
Yeah, we will get to the matter of adapting DFO into Legend Edition at some point.
That is going to be fun.
I'll probably throw in Elsword and Vindictus since they're in the same ballpark as well.
Elsword I can do, Vindictus not so much.
I can do both of those pretty well.
But, so first off, initiative is established. That is a rapidity test. Whoever gets higher starts first, but after the first round, the initiative doesn't matter as much, since usually these are going to be one-on-ones. Uh, but your initial AP is determined after that. Your rapidity value gives you a number of AP. At the start of combat, you both characters get 2 special points. Now, a character's turn is 3 phases. Prep, where you get AP equal to rapidity. The action phase, where you're using actions based if you can spend AP for them. And final, which if you still have AP left, they stay and are added to the ones you get at the start of the next phase. Now, you can accumulate up to 20 AP and up to 6 SP. Furthermore, you can earn up to 6 SP during the same turn. Every time you use action points or special points, take an equivalent number of cards from your reserve and put them back on the deck. Each character not playing their turn is in defense mode. However, they can still perform some actions. So as far as the actions, you have attack and defense. Attack costs 1 AP. Defense is free. You can add 2 AP to the cost to activate a symbol. So these are essentially improvised kind of attacks that aren't specials.
Mm-hmm.
You can perform up to 3 attacks consecutively. They must necessarily be alternated with special techniques or supers. This is, for example, a character can perform 3 basic attacks, then a special technique, and other basic attacks, but not 4 basics in a row. So you can do that, but it's going to be one of those things where that's going to cost a lot of resources to do it.
Yep.
Let's see. You can spend 1 AP to counterattack. If successful, the opponent's turn is interrupted. If it fails, it's a typical defense that didn't succeed. If it ends in a draw, you hit each other simultaneously. Now, the character interrupted by a counterattack does not lose the remaining AP. As soon as it's their turn again, they'll get new ones. You can spend 2 AP to apply either falls or pushes symbols, and inflicts damage like a common attack. You can spend 1 AP to stand up, 1 AP to jump. When you perform a jump attack or counterattack, calculate the test to hit normally, but add the defense to the attack before calculating damage. You can also perform a jump defense. In this case, perform the test normally, but you have a bonus of +1. Let's see,
Air
movement
block or air parry.
Movement costs 1 AP. You move from distance to contact or contact to distance. You can only move on either your turn, the opponent's if you counterattack, and that's it. Then there's air recovery, which costs 2 AP. You use it to avoid falling. So there's your air ukemi. And of course, when you and we do have the idea of combos. Each successful consecutive attack provides 1 combo point. The extra hit symbol also provides additional ones. This is true even when a combo is started or continued. During the opponent's turn, when your opponent successfully defends or hits you, or you decide to pass the turn or run out of AP, the combo ends and the counter returns to 0. Combo points are used to obtain new SP, but there's no need to note of them other than keep in mind that they reset easy. but hold on one moment. We will get into tests in a minute, but I need to step for just a moment. So I'm
Not
gonna
a
hit
problem.
the BRB. I'm gonna hit the BRB. I will see you shortly.
Maria,
Okay.
No.
So, meanwhile, my guests here have been catnapped.
Yes.
So when it
The
comes
car
to
has started.
I've got this cat
attacks
in my lap.
and defense, a test is carried out.
Skeleton purse.
The defender, in turn, carries out a test. The former does test plus attack, the latter does test plus defense. If the former beats the latter, the attack hits. Otherwise, it misses. A successful attack deals damage equal to attack plus the test result performed. The character who's hit absorbs damage equal to their defense value without adding the result of the defense test. Each character has 30 HP. When they drop to 0, you're out. Special moves inflict attack times 2 plus test damage, and super moves inflict times 4. If you roll a 6 on a test, that is counted as an 8. And you immediately get 1 SP, regardless of your SP generation method. And of course, as mentioned before, there is either distance or close. You can only hit opponents when you're in contact or close, except if you're using a technique with the distance symbol. Of course, there's also the whole thing with special points, which, in addition to the 6 earning methods we talked about before, you always get 1 SP if you get a 6 on a combat test, or if you get 6 total combo points. And this is in addition to whatever methods you got at character creation.
You know what this system kind of reminds me of?
What?
The way Killer Instinct's combo system works.
Are we talking SNES Killer Instinct, 64 Killer Instinct, or Double Helix?
Double Helix, definitely.
Which, I will admit, that game was better than it had any right to be. And
yes, absolutely.
The only reason I'm interested in Invincible Versus is that team is doing it.
Very nice.
But when it comes to SP, you can spend it to either give yourself a +1 on a test, or +1 bonus damage, or receive a bonus die. You can spend up to 3 SP to do this. It is cumulative. For defense, it can do +1 to damage and absorption, or a bonus die. But this does not apply to SP spent on Ultra Agility or Ultra Duration symbols. Or you can chain, so you can spend 1 SP immediately after a successful attack. The next attack will automatically chain. The opponent does not roll the die, you do. Chaining 2 normal attacks or a normal attack and a technique is always possible, but you can never chain the same technique you just used by repeating it. So you can't spam.
So the KI auto combo system.
You can also spend SP to reduce the cost of a technique by 1 action point. So a minimum of 1. You're not getting a freebie. Obviously, you can spend 4 SP and the necessary AP to activate a super. And if you're defenseless because you're either thrown or a chain, you can spend 2 SP to carry out a defense chest. So, combo breaker. You were just bringing up Killer Instinct, and here we go.
Combo
See?
breaker.
I was right on the money with that.
Of course, I could also reference the burst effect in Guilty Gear, or the breaker effect in NRS Mortal Kombat, but I do not feel like invoking NRS because Since Mortal Kombat came back via NetherRealm Studios, it has been the most schizophrenic series out there.
I mean, the only good one left was 9, and even that's a stretch.
That's a stretch because so much of the plot twists in that thing were completely forced. But it at least understood what the assignment was.
Yeah.
X,
That was an
11
entertaining
and
game to boot.
X, 11 and 1 are frustrating.
They are what I refer to as smell my butt crack.
But you also have the matter of will dice and balance dice. These are special d6s that can be thrown in. During a fight, you can choose to in advance whether to roll one or more will or balance die along with the standard die and choose the highest final result. Will can only be added during your turn. Balance can only be rolled during other people's turn. These die, unlike your action points, do not refresh until after a battle is won. So they are a way to help turn things in your favor, but they are not reliable.
In other words, don't play purely defensively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course, when it comes to opponents, you have 3 types. Underlings, which only have the outer characteristics, distributing 7 points, and 5 base HP. Combos, not combos, champions, which have inner characteristics, 5 points, much like with characters, and no techniques with 10 HP. Bosses are created the same way you'd create PCs, but they have a base of 15 HP. If you're playing the multiplayer mode, these can be modified. So your mooks, your mid-boss, and your boss.
Yep.
So they do recommend using the deck of cards as a means to track AP and SP. Which I'm perfectly fine with going. If you don't have the dragon cards for it, you can use a couple of poker decks, one for AP, one for SP. And use the tokens in the base box for health. And I do like this little thing that if you're thrown into the air or knocked down, turn the sheet either 180 degrees or 90 degrees.
Oh god, we're going to the Tekken air juggling crap, aren't we?
We haven't hit the 10-hit combo yet, so maybe not.
I swear to god, if someone pulls a 10-hit air juggle combo on me in this, I'm just gonna quit.
About that, if you look in after the battle, as far as win conditions, you have pile on. Just like in some beat-em-ups, if you're in the middle of an attack and the opponent has already been defeated, you can continue to spend your AP to attack them, piling on them. Mechanically, this can be useful to accumulate SP points before the end of the fight to be spent in the next round. If you sacrifice action points, of course, you can pile on even if there is no next round, just for spite.
So it's just an instant kill. This is like, fuck it. There is no second round.
No, this is the... Stop! Stop! He's already dead! But when it comes to game modes, the first one that's mentioned is the journey for story mode. And it does give a few examples on how to build the opening part of the story based on different inspirations. So we see Street Fighter, Virtua Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Bloodsports, The King of Fighters, Enter the Dragon, Shamo, Cobra Kai. All good motifs.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you do have the concept of the Oracle, which is, if you've played a solo game before, the Oracle is meant to be a random GM that isn't a GM because you're playing solo.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is you would roll a d6 to consult the Oracle to see what the result of a test would be. So it could either be catastrophic or it could be best case scenario. I do remember an earlier version of Musha Shugyo that it said if you don't have any dice, use a number 2 pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've done a few times.
Oh yeah.
It's the kind of thing you do when you're in study hall, but you've already done the studying, so you need to kill time. Look, doing this show for as long as I've done, I've found that people will come up with creative ways to do role playing even without the traditional approaches.
Oh yeah. It's one of those mediums where you can do just about anything, so long as you're operating within the rules and science of the game.
Yep.
Which I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that's what role-playing games were about.
The funny thing is, a lot of the people who forgot it are people who are in the grog camp.
Yep. I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm. So, if you need to consult the Oracle to resolve a conflict, that can be done by rolling Oracle dice, equal to half the level of the involved attribute, rounded up. And, of course, then you'd have to describe the way you approach it, either through rapidity, attack, defense, will, or balance. Though you can spend will die or balance die to add them to the Oracle die of the check. There's no limit to how many will or balance die you can spend, but you can't roll more than 4. And of course, this is still about asking a question of the Oracle, so there's no target number to check. The idea is you're rolling a set of die, probably picking the highest, because the higher number is going to get you a better answer from the Oracle. And of course, I do like the idea of the scenario postcards it mentions. Obviously that's not going to be in this PDF, but it wasn't a separate thing where there were different postcards for different areas. You could kind of look at them as the zones in versus mode. The idea is to help people figure out a scenario. And after going through scenarios, you gain experience, which you spend directly to boost. It costs 20 XP to boost one of your core attributes. you can trade out attributes for 15. Get one special technique as long as you don't have more than 5, which costs 10, or get a new super technique. You can only have 2. Oh. And interestingly, increasing the inner attributes leads to a balancing approach. If you increase one, you have to decrease the other.
Yeah, so kind of like how it works in Final Fantasy II.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Now, if you use the expansion cards, you can increase the level of a martial skill, gain a new skill at level 1, or get a new ability as long as it's justified. And I do like that they have a kind of achievement set up as well. Something I always enjoy is when there's alternate forms of advancement beyond just XP gain and spend. And of course, beyond that there is single-player mode, which is basically an arcade mode. Then there's 2-player mode, which is self-explanatory.
Ooh, versus.
And multiplayer for those who want to do a more traditional party approach.
Do that as a tag fighter.
Truth be told, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I've been watching more Lucha, especially from CMLL. I would probably do it as a trios thing. I know King of Fighters does that.
3v3, very nice.
Trios matches are somewhat common in Mexico, more than tag matches. And do you know why? The roster was too damn big.
That is fair. I mean, that's a perfectly valid solution for something like that.
For decades, the main promotion in Mexico was CMLL, which is also the oldest promotion in the world. And like when I say CMLL is old, I mean real old. Like they got started in the 30s. That's how old they are. They are nearly 100 years old. And, you know, them being the main one, they had a lot of people in the locker room. Too many for a bunch of tag matches, so trios became a thing. Which can certainly work. Sometimes I've seen gimmicks where it doesn't, like a 3-way trios cage match in AAA a few years ago, which that's 9 people in one ring, and that is about 5 people too many.
Yeah, just a bit.
But if you go with the multiple approach, then you do also include the expansion sheet, which includes writing out your Musha Shugyo, your martial abilities, any extra techniques, your archetype, your objectives, and your skills. They do have an example of the expanded sheet, as well as a nice little thing where you could put a clip. You would put like a paper clip on the side to track LP. That's a nice touch.
Yes.
I remember a custom sheet for Exalted 2nd Edition that did that to track Essence. And of course there are the tournaments, though. Truth be told, if I was to do a tournament event in a fighting game campaign, I would not be going with single elimination tournament. I would instead go with a round robin.
Ah, very nice.
I suppose one of the big examples in wrestling of a round robin would be the G1 Climax over in New Japan, which is a round robin with 20 people, 10 in an A block, 10 in a B block. And if you've seen a round robin tournament, you know how it works. But Chapter 4 is a tutorial adventure, and that is going to be skipped. But I will admit that I do appreciate some of the material we've got, as well as the fact that there's a lot of expansions for modules.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check if some of these have been translated, but it's also a nice touch that some of the expansions look like a Game Boy cartridge.
I love that so much.
Mm-hmm. Some of these I think I had, but I had for the original. I don't have them for advanced, like Hyper Armor, as well as Deadly Weaponry. But overall, what do you think of Dragon Fighters?
This is so ridiculous, and I love it. I really like how it tries to emulate not just side scrollers, but actual fighting games with all the different modes.
Yeah, this is the kind of game you can only make when you are a massive fan of those sort of things.
Yeah.
And I do also appreciate that it's a very slim affair, but there's no wasted complexity.
No, there isn't. It's just all laid out for you.
Mm-hmm. So I always appreciate no filler, all killer. And
backwards, strike that. Reverse it.
But things like the expansion sheet is a nice touch. When it comes to the dragon cards, it more or less works the same way as normal. Personally, I would only use that maybe the first, not the first time, but after playing a few with just a standard playing card deck. If I'm being honest, the only potential problem I can see is that there were a few hiccups in translation, like AP being the stat that's used, but PA, as well as the fact that the core attributes, some of them are not going to be as intuitive, and I feel that was a case of some fumbles in translation. I'm certainly not ungrateful for it being translated into language I can actually read. But
yeah,
I could see, but it's the abbreviated versions of the stats that I think are going to throw some people off. But that's really it. And I know one could bring up, well, based on how this is set up, could somebody just play defensive all the time? I mean, yeah, if you want to do some big ass combo, you're going to have to, but not really. At least not in the sense of turtling.
Yeah. Because it looks like in this system, if you turtle too much, it kind of comes at a price.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention every time you do take that defensive option, you are taking a risk. But I honestly think the Dragon Chi system is a very inspired choice. One that helps expand on the possibilities. And when it comes to this sort of thing, one of the trickiest parts can be how you create new moves. Having it go with a symbol-based approach means you're not going to run into the same problem that power creation happens in Supers games, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, we will take a break for a couple minutes, and then we'll get to the second half of the adventure tonight. And adventure is the key word because we're hitting the oceans.
Yay!
So be right back as we set. And we are back. I do have to apologize for calling it Windblue Gliders at the start. It's Gilders. I don't know where I got gliders from.
Honest mistake.
Mm-hmm. So, This is a TTRPG about journeying through a high seas fantasy world. Intended for 2 to 5 participants with sessions of an hour or more. And yes, this is a Japanese TTRPG because of course it is from me. So, you will need 2d6 per person, and of course writing tools or a computer. So when it comes to the what kind of game is this? Windblue Guilders is a TRPG that portrays the journeys, adventures, and daily lives of soldiers called Laurus, wanderers PCs in the vast high seas fantasy world of Altura. As the ocean's jacks of all trades, Laurus accepts requests from people handling tasks like pirate hunting, sea surveys, deliveries, and rescues. These sailors, who voyage between islands and sometimes dive headlong into various dangers, like journeys through stormy seas, exploration of uncharted islands, and battles with pirates or sea monsters, are an indispensable presence to the people of Altura. Their goal is to return alive and to tell their guildmates about the sights they saw beyond the horizon while stuffing their faces with good food at the tavern. The PC's objective is to work together, survive, complete quests, and grow as sailors. So, Altura is an archipelago in the northern hemisphere of the planet Nepha, which is home to 4 civilized races: humans, cats, Lunarians, and Finfolk. And I don't know why, but there's a part of me that's thinking of One Piece, especially early One Piece, going through this.
I kind of got that vibe.
But obviously the game is only using D6s, which, when you're dealing with Japanese tabletop, D6-based mechanics is something you're going to see quite a bit. I'm not just talking Sword World. Most are going to be using D6s.
Most accessible dice, understood.
There are a few exceptions. Magic Punk was one of them. But first we get into character creation, creating your Laurus. Step one is going to be race, which is going to determine your stats as well as racial skills. Step 2 is acquiring skills. You acquire all of your race's initial skills at level 1. If it's written as any skill or any skill category skill, you can choose freely. Of course, then step 3 is acquiring items, a ship, and a base. So you've got 300 for items. You get 1 weapon for free with the issued tag. You start with sailor's garb or leather armor for clothes/armor. Choose 4 from the consumables, which is going to be your starting spread there. You can't choose the same consumable more than once. You get 1 tool, a wooden shield, or 1 accessory of your choice, as well as 5 bread, 5 dried meat, and 5 water. Your Laurus certificate, and write down a treasured item. This is a flavor item, of course.
Yeah.
You also build your first ship. The PCs can design it together with a budget of 1,500, or the GM can decide on one, or you can use the Treva sample ship. And incidentally, I do like that there are hyperlinks in the PDF. You also get your first base. The GM decides the party's first base and its facilities. Many parties won't have a specific base. If your first session is the sample scenario, you get Vangale Founders Hall, and the facilities being Laurus Guild Hall, Tavern, Gourmet Seafood Sandwich, and which gets all stats +2 for the rest of the day. So, you are starting out on the seafood diet. You see food, you eat it.
And I'll promptly break out.
Sadly, I'm allergic to seafood.
But some of the final steps are determining your reputation, which starts at 0. You're getting reputation by completing quests. The higher the value, the more you're respected as a sailor and become famous among the general populace. If your fame is high enough, you can get fame effects at taverns, such as having a drink bought for you. You also get stance. This is an indicator of your motivation for sailing and goals for the voyage. You can choose one from the stance table or make up your own. And we do they call it a table, but it's not really a table in the traditional sense. Things like professional, seeker, mediator, ascetic. Just why are you adventuring? But in this kind of setup, it would be very easy to, based on the character creation that we see, it'd be very easy to look at race as class, but this is more a starting package from what I'm seeing here. Because you have your starting HP as well as your starting stats and some initial skills. So we have the humans, we have the cats, which kind of amusing that a feline race would be around ships so much.
Yeah, I know, because Tabby hates water.
I like swimming. That's about it.
Well, if you're up in the monastery, you may be encouraged to take the polar bear plunge.
I have cold-induced asthma. That would probably kill me.
He's lying. It's not fun. Trust me, I've done it.
Yep. But then the people of the moon, also known as Lunarians, which I guess would be the closest thing to elves in this setting. And Finfolk, which is our merfolk. And he says, "I've done it. It was great. Look, I do it because it's for charity."
I almost lost my coat one time.
But then we have the skill list, which I would say, much like what we discussed with Tokyo Nova a while back, the skills in this game are not in the traditional sense. In the sense that we're not really doing the attribute plus skill setup. Skills are more like scalable abilities. If anything, they're more like getting new actions in a ARPG, from what I'm seeing here.
Mm-hmm.
They do start with the racial skills. I do like that the cats have Nian Fu.
Nian Fu.
As well as transmission. But the different types of skills are connection skills, and it looks like each one has a different growth condition. For racial skills, complete a session, it grows. For connection skills, if you've made a new NPC connection, you can get it. Though you do have to have certain requirements, like ordinary friend requirements. You have a friend.
No.
For combat skills, the growth condition is during the session, defeat one or more enemies with a ranged or melee attack.
Carrier pigeon news.
Mhm.
That sounds awesome.
They just fly right into the Vatican.
At least it's not. At least it's not carrier owls. Don't ask for Errol. Just whatever you do.
But knowledge skills, to grow it, you either gain a new knowledge or research a manual during after game phase. And technical skills, if you grow it by either using a technical skill during the session or make a technique check in that field. And magic skills, these use magic. In order to use magic, you have to learn the skill and have to spend MP if you're a Lunarian, or Arcanite Shard, Arcanite, or High Arcanite. When used in combat, each telling of a magic word requires a set number of tips. You grow it by researching a grimoire during the after-game phase to learn or grow one specific magic skill. You might also be able to learn it from spirits or divine beings. So, it looks like if you're not a Lunarian, you have to use Arcanite in order to use magic, which is a nice touch. And
Yeah.
once again, we have a game
Right.
using MP instead of using the spells per day model.
Gives me the Tales vibes of how elves can use magic like innately, and humans and such in Tales, especially like Tales of Fantasia, have to use it via like summoning stones and the like there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. On the other hand, we also have faith skills. Looks like you can only have one faith skill. By worshipping a specific place or in a specific way, you gain a one-time use over bonus. Once used, you can't get it again until you worship. A GM can grant luck points for actions that demonstrate faith. The growth condition, acting in accordance with the skill's precepts during the session. And just to use an example, the Bane Allen faith. Precepts: you must not make surprise attacks. You must not abandon your comrades and flee. Bane Allen is the hero god of the sword and the racial god of humans. Through the blessing of the sword god, when you make an attack check using a sword, you may reroll any fumbles instead of processing them. The over bonus, a number of times equal to your skill level, you gain an additional +1 tip for 1 turn. You cannot use magic during that turn. You can get this by worshipping at a shrine to Bane Allen on the C chart. So I like that the abilities you get from Faith are not just magic in a different coat of paint, which is a bad habit among some fantasy games.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's not much mechanical difference between, say, a priest and a sorcerer. It was to the point that I know Brother Tanner, when he was making Heavens and Heresies, just combined Warlock and Cleric because he felt they were similar enough that he could just merge the two and make it work. But then we have weapons. And I do like the way the weapon stats are presented here. we almost have something akin to the power table you'd see in Sword World.
Mhm.
Where you're rolling 2d6 plus one of your stats to determine damage, and the damage ranges depending on your choice of weapon. You can equip up to 2 one-handed or 1 two-handed. So we're not doing that whole 2-weapon fighting penalty bullshit. Thank
Yep.
God. Oh. So when it comes to shields, it looks like you have a chance rule when it comes to using guarding. Instead of shields being a set damage reduction or increasing defense, shields have a durability. When you successfully guard an attack, which is through the chance range, the attack that would have hit you hits the durability of the shield instead. That is an interesting approach. It also means you can't fully rely on shields, and it means that doing sword and board isn't always the best move.
Especially considering your shield can break.
Mm-hmm. I do like the description for Panlid. Better than nothing. Probably?
The classic Dragon Quest starter shield.
Mm-hmm.
A pot lid.
Yep. Then for armor, it is the classic soak. You reduce damage by defense value. Size is not considered. The heavier ones do penalize physique, it looks like.
Well, yeah, you're not going to move in, like, huge armor.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, accessories. You can equip up to 2, regardless of location. And tools, which you can carry any number of. There is also what was mentioned before with consumables. For ones that are marked throwable, their range can be melee to 1 away.
You can't do guild toss.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me sad.
And of course, heavy goods, which uses the heavy slots on a ship.
Magic bomb.
Mm-hmm. And as well, materials / trade goods. These have no effect on their own unless the GM says so. But if you consume a combination of them, of materials and trade goods, they can be treated as a normal meal. You can carry up to 5 types, 5 of each. If you want to transport more, you'll need a barrel / crate. If not using the trade rules, they can be bought and sold like any other item. If you are, the price in the table is the base price, which fluctuates according to the trade market on each island. These can also be obtained through gathering, fishing, or using a trading post. It's a very nice touch there.
Yeah, definitely. I especially like that this sounds like it has some cooking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I always like when they explore cooking in role-playing games.
But
Any form of crafting I like.
Mm-hmm. Which, I've mentioned this in the past, I'm not the biggest fan of how crafting systems often work in games. And the big problem they have is the specificity. I.e., a lot of crafting systems want you to go with this specific recipe and that's it. And a lot of times there's that one ingredient that you can't seem to find until it's not relevant. Then you can find it all the damn time. Meanwhile, because you don't have that one ingredient, the recipe is taunting you.
My average Curse of Darkness playthrough, everybody.
Mm-hmm. But regarding ship creation, a ship is made of a hull, heavy equipment, and light equipment. Depending on the type, a hull has ship stats and slots. So when it comes to that, first we have durability, how much damage it can take. Sailing speed, the normal distance it moves in one part when sailing. Stability, a bonus to your helmsmanship checks. Larger ships are more stable and less likely to capsize or break. Maneuverability, which is a bonus to helmsmanship checks. Smaller ships are lighter and easier to handle precisely. Then the size, which is going to be the length and width on a battle map. This is not doing traditional grid combat. It has its own map, which is a common thing. We saw that with Magic Punk last week. So then turn, the tips required for the ship's turn. Its combat speed, how many spaces it can move with a forward action. Heavy slots and light slots can be used to equip heavy equipment and light equipment, or one unit of heavy goods in the case of heavy slots. So you choose one hull from the list below. Heavy and light equipment can be installed as long as you have slots for them. Don't worry about how many people can board unless it's an unreasonable amount, i.e. you can't fit 10 people on a boat.
Well, you could, it'd just be very uncomfortable.
Mm-mm. So we have the standard boat going all the way up in price and scale to the white ships, which are listed as not for sale. Which makes sense since they have 1,000 durability, infinite stability.
Thank you, okay?
I'm good, I'm not dying yet.
But heavy equipment is usually weapons. Though there are some heavier stuff you can put in. I do like the culverin. I do like some of the cannons here, where you can do either damage via cannonball or grape shot. But then we have light equipment. These aren't usually going to be weapons, but they can be. But it looks like they could be support items.
Yeah.
Especially something like, say, an Arcano mine.
Oh God, we're going with death charges now. Wait, there's probably no subs in this game.
No, I didn't see any. Of course, then you have base creation, which a base is going to have a certain amount of facilities. There is no upper limit to the number of facilities, but the limitation is what you can spend, time, and the fact that you need construction materials. And it is going to take a certain amount of days to make a thing. So we have manufacturing facilities, which allow you to get materials of that type, as long as it's being managed. A standard house, a tavern, a port, a trading post, a shrine, a hot spring.
Wait a minute, this is just Warcraft.
But Then we have the rules proper. So the first thing they bring up is luck points. Interesting. You can spend a luck point to either get a d6 bonus, get 1 tip during combat, or get a luck effect. Though you can only have no more than 3 luck points. You could also get them through worship or other means. Odd that was put in front of checks. So when it comes to checks, it is 2d6 plus modifier versus a difficulty, as well as so you're adding the stat, any bonuses from skills, any bonuses from luck points, or situational modifiers or equipment, and applying the underwater penalty if you have it. And of course, you get over it, that's a success. Get under it, that's a failure. Boxcars are criticals. However, if the check does not use 2d6, it can't crit. So if you had a 3d6 roll and you rolled nothing but boxcars, it's just you rolled 18.
Congratulations. You still don't crit.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a nice trade-off.
Yeah, that is pretty decent. It prevents people from going for it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Especially since the main way you'd get that third die is spending a luck point.
Yep.
But with attack checks, there is no set difficulty. It looks like this is a case where you're automatically hitting, much like in Draw Steel. The die roll is determining how much damage you do.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're doing unarmed attack, in which case you just do damage equal to your physique stat. But when it comes to luck effects, we have today's my lucky day. You win when you need luck, such as in gambling, or lucky coin. Lose 1 item to completely nullify a single attack against you. Just in case. Once you can declare that you had 1 consumable or tool item. It can't be a not-for-sale item, but it was on you all along.
It's ridiculous.
Or overwhelmingly sunny. Change the weather for the current part to clear skies. This cannot change weather set by magic. But because of the fact that luck is capped at 3 points, you better spend it. That's the vibe I'm getting here. You can get it easy, but you're not going to be able to keep a lot of it.
So no hoarding points.
Mm-hmm. But after that, it goes into the flow. The important part in here is going to be well, at least one of them is the travel phase. Because a day is composed of 5 parts. And the actions that you can do during that part. Some of these are part actions and others are sub-actions. Of course, some of them, like sailing, are group actions. After every PC does one of these, or does a group action, it moves on to the next part of the day. So morning, forenoon, afternoon, evening, and night.
Wait a minute, that's just Persona.
Yeah, and there's quite a few. There's certainly some options when it comes to what you can do, including using facilities. when it comes to combat, it is based on a grid of sorts, though. It does, though it is playing a bit loose with it, which makes sense because you would want to, because there is going to be naval combat in a game like this, of course.
Oh, I went back and I was like, wait a minute. Didn't this have something for like cartography? Oh, seafaring knowledge, that's close enough.
Yep.
I'd say, ooh, imagine making a sea chart while doing this.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be awesome.
Tips are essentially action points. You can spend them to perform ship actions or combat actions until you run out of tips. So ship actions are things like helmsmanship, as well as cannoneering, activating equipment, and retreating. With combat actions, you can do a basic attack or a strong attack by spending 2 tips. You can either double the damage or make the enemy drop their weapon. If you roll a critical on a strong attack and the HP is less than or equal to your current HP, you reduce the target's HP to 0. Damn.
Oops.
But I do like the use of an action point approach.
Definitely.
Of course, after the end of the phases, you can go through character growth. From the categories whose growth conditions you met, you can raise a skill level by 1 up to 3 times, as long as you've met the growth requirements, which we covered earlier. Your max HP goes up by 10. You choose 2 stats that increase each by 1 to a max of 6. You bring your level up by 1 and get 1d6 phase points.
Fame, not phase.
Mm-hmm. So, given how relatively quickly character growth can go, I feel like this is the game where you're going to be capping out pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably why one of the after game actions is retirement. Though I like that they said keep it in case you want to come back.
Those are the type of PCs I would have as NPCs in like other games.
Mm.
Can give some decent advice to new players.
Yeah. Do like that there's some ideas on how to do quests, as well as a event table for different parts of the sea and different seas in general. So it wouldn't be too difficult to play this solo.
You know, what fun is that when you can have a whole crew?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, they do have a sea chart.
Yep. Yep. Of course, the appendix proper, which has the various sheets, and a sample CD uses a battle map. Very nice.
Why do I get Ultima 3 and 4 vibes from this?
As well as a few sample characters here. I do like that you've got quite a variety of skills at level 1. And even though there's a lot of skills in the game, I appreciate the fact that this isn't an instance of, here's a bunch of points, have at it, and give you no guidance. You have
Yeah.
guidance through your choice of race. But that more or less sums up Wildblue Guilders. So, based on what we've seen here, what do you guys think of it?
This seems like a very, very adorable game. I
Mhm.
definitely would give it a shot.
It seems fun.
My only real complaint with it was, like you said earlier, you would probably cap out really fast.
Potentially.
Might like
At least when it
like,
comes to
it
at least when it comes to
depends.
things like your core stats, since those cap at 6.
Yeah.
On the other hand, long campaigns aren't as much of a thing in the Japanese tabletop space. I've always seen an emphasis on scenario play. And even Sword World places an emphasis on scenario play.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's one of those when in Rome things, which is when we eventually cover the FF14 RPG, I think we'll be in a more unique position to talk about that because of the fact that we have a bit more experience now with Japanese tabletop.
Mhm.
And I think that's going to be crucial to understanding what kind of game it's trying to be, as well as how I think a fair few people have misinterpreted it. But that will be a story for another week. And of course, tomorrow will be the return of the Agito Arcanum selection trial. Whole new party and everything.
Ooh, I'm gonna be watching that one because the one we played last week was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. And on Sunday, I thankfully will not be pulling double duty. It will
Good.
just
Give yourself a break.
yeah. It will just be Fated Continuum with us covering Final Fantasy X and X-2. Why both in one go? Well, they're both in the same setting, so why would I split that?
Exactly.
So keep an eye out for that. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
See you on the trail.
Take care.